Hey guys, and welcome to a new unit where we have to learn how to simplify radicals without a calculator. So this is probably going to be the most difficult only because you're not allowed a calculator and you have to remember your factors of all of these numbers, okay? Or at least you have to find them. And the reason you're not allowed a calculator is because these questions will most likely be on the non-calculator portion of the milestone. But let's go ahead and just get started with simplifying. So the very first thing that you need to do when you're given a radical and it says to simplify is that you need to find your factors of 216. Now, I don't really know about you guys, but I don't know the factors of 216, so I need to divide by 2. Because it's an even number, you can divide by 2. So I know that 2 goes into 2 once, and then 2 times 1 is 2. You subtract them to get 0. You bring down the 1. Well, 2 doesn't go into 1, so that's going to be 0. And you bring down the 6. 2 goes into 16. 8 times. So then you get the factors of 2 and 108. Okay, now 108 I definitely know the factors of, because if you use the finger trick for your 9s, 9 times 12 is 108. Okay. Also, you can do your factors of 2, but they just give you 1 and 2, and that's not helpful. So anytime you get a prime number, which means that it only multiplies by 1 in itself, then you're done finding factors. Okay? So then we want to find our factors of 9, which are 3 and 3, and our factors of 12, which you can either use 2 or 6 or 3 and 4. I'm going to use 3 and 4, and then factors of 4 are going to be 2 and 2. Ooh, this was a long tree. Okay, so we have done our tree, and it has taken up a lot of space, but that's okay. So what do we do with all of our tree? Well, the first thing I want you to do is cross out the numbers from where you made a tree. Like, if you see these 2 2s coming from this 4, I want you to cross out the 4, okay, because you've used it. And same with the 12, because it came from the 3 and the 4, and the 9, and the 108 and the 216. That way you know that you're done with those, okay? The next thing I want you to do is to circle your pairs. So you're going to have some pairs of numbers. Like right here, we have a pair of 2s, and we have a pair of 3s. Now, I did it this way to show you that your pairs can come from different trees, or even different levels. Like, if I had circled this 2, I could have also circled that 2. Alright, but we'll get to that later. And then I want you to put a box around all the numbers that you don't use. There we go. Okay. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go off to this side over here, and you're going to put one number from each pair. So we're going to have 2, and we're going to have times 3. And then you're going to write your radical, and whatever is left over inside the boxes, that's what goes inside our box. It's going to be 2 times 3. So then our answer is going to be 6 radical 6. And that's how you simplify. Okay? Alright, let's try number 2 together. Alright, that one looks a little bit easier. So our factors of 32. Again, if you don't know your factors, you can always divide by 2. So 2 and 16, or at least you can always divide by 2 if this number right here is even, meaning 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so on and so forth. Alright, so factors of 2, not very helpful. Factors of 16 are 2 and 8. Factors of 8 are 4 and 2. And then factors of 4 are 2 and 2. Okay, so now we want to cross out everything that we used. So we use the 4, we use the 8, we use the 16, we use the 32. So now circle some pairs. So I have a pair of 2's right here. I have a pair of 2's right here. And I have one left over 2 right here. Okay? So now I'm going to put one number from each pair on the outside, multiplying them. All of this is going to be multiplied. And then square root of whatever is left over is 2. So we're going to get 4 square root 2 as our answer. Okay, let's try another one. Alright, since I kind of went over to 3 and 4, we're going to skip those and we're going to do 5 and 6, okay? Alright, but I went over 3 and 4 in class, probably, or I just went through the first column, so extra problems. Alrighty, so factors of 72, I believe, are 7 and 9, I think. I might be wrong. I'm going to divide by 2 because I want to be absolutely certain that I'm using the right factors. Okay? So 7 goes into 2 3 times, because 3 times 2 will give me 6. And then we're going to subtract. And then we're going to bring down the 2. And then 2 times 12 will give me 6. Or, sorry, 12 divided by 2 will give me 6. And then... Alright, so I can change this into 2 and 36. And then factors of 36, I'm just going to go ahead and do the easy one of 6 and 6. Now, when this happens, you can still continue on to 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and circle your pairs there, or you can notice that you already have a pair. Okay, so I'm going to notice that I already have a pair. Look at that. And since I already have a pair, and there's nowhere else for me to go, I'm going to cross out these numbers. And then, my pairs go on the outside, my leftovers go on the inside. See, that wasn't too bad. Alright, number 6. Number 6 has something a little bit different to it. That's right, it has a number on the outside. It has negative 6 square root 32. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is, same as always, do your tree. Whoops, I already used red. So in a previous problem, we saw that 2 and 16 were factors. And then we saw that 2 and 8, and then 4 and 2, and 2 and 2. And then we circled our pairs. And we got rid of the extra numbers. And boxed. Okay? And so then, I have 2 pairs of 2. So we're going to have 2 times 2 times our original number of negative 6 square root 2. That's all that this does. I got that negative 6 from right here, where it was originally, right beside the square root. Okay? So now we're just going to do 2 times 2 gives us 4 times negative 6 square root 2. 4 times negative 6 will give us negative 24 square root 2. Alrighty? Okay. Then let's do another one. We'll do 2 more of these, so I'm going to go down to 9 and 10. Alrighty, 175. So, factors of 175, the first thing I want you to notice is that this is not an even number. So, we cannot divide by 2. But, we can divide by 5 because it ends in a 5. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but any number that ends in a 5 or a 0, you can divide by 5. So, let's do it. So, I'm going to do 5 divided by 175. Okay? 5 goes into 17 3 times, because 3 times 5 is 15. And and then we're going to subtract them. 17 minus 15 will give me 2, and we're going to bring down that 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times, because 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so then my factors are going to be 5 and 35. Awesome. 5 is a prime number because the only numbers that stem from it are 1 and 5. 35, however, we have 5 and 7. 7 is also a prime number because the only numbers that can come from it are 1 and 7. So now we get to cross out and do all of our fun stuff. So we used 35, we used 175. I have a pair of 5s and a leftover 7. So put one pair on the outside, or one number from your pair on the outside, multiply it by whatever's there, make your box, and 7 goes inside the box. 5 times negative 6 gives us negative 30 square root 7. Alright, and now we'll do 10. So again, I'm not entirely sure of the factors of 196, so I'm just going to divide. Let me move this over so I can have more space to divide. There we go. Because of this black line that's kind of in my way. Alright, 96. 2 goes into 9 4 times. That'll leave me with 1. Bring down the 6. 2 goes into 16 8 times. So then we have 2 and 48. Factors of 2, not overly helpful. Factors of 48, if you're not sure, you can divide by 2, but I do know these factors, and you should too because it's in your normal 1 through 12 range. So I'm going to use, let's use 12 and 4. Okay, factors of 12 are 3 and 4. Okay. And then factors of 3 are prime. Factors of 4 are 2 and 2. Factors of 4 are 2 and 2. Alrighty? So, the cross-out method is really helpful when you get to a large tree like this, because all of a sudden you have so many different numbers. So if you have arms coming from a number, like you see how these arms are coming from this 4, you can cross out the 4. Arms are coming from the 12, cross out the 12. Same with the 4, the 48, the 96. Okay? Circle your pairs. Pair of 2s, pair of 2s, and then I have a leftover 3 and a leftover 2. So remember, one number from each of your pairs is going to go on the outside, so I have a pair of 2s, I have another pair of 2s, I had that original 8, the 8 came from right there, and then square root, I had leftover 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 will give me 4 times 8, 2 times 3 will give me 6, 4 times 8 gives me 32 square root 6. Awesome. Okie dokie, so now we're going to move on to the next type, and these are a little bit harder, but not actually that much harder. They're only harder because they have letters in them. Okay, but we're going to treat them just exactly the same way, okay? So, first thing we're going to do is find our factors of 150. So, I know I can divide by 10 because of the 0. And when you divide by 10, you're just going to take out the 10, so you're going to take out that 0, and what are you left with? 15. So then I'm going to find my factors of 10, which are 2 and 5. Awesome, both are prime numbers, so I don't need to do anything else. Factors of 15 are going to be 5 and 3. Awesome, prime numbers. I don't need to do anything else. So then we're going to get rid of the numbers that we used, and then we're going to circle our pairs. Okay? Alright, so now we are going to write one of our pairs we're going to leave a space. We're going to have our box. Oops, and we had left over 2 times 3. Alright, so for the next part, our letters. So do you see this tiny number up above? Okay, it is another way of saying x times x, because there's 2 of them. So up here I'm going to write x squared equals x times x. So those are your factors of x. So every time you see a letter with a tiny number, here's what I want you to do. I want you to draw arms. And whatever that number is how many arms you're going to draw. And then, after you draw that many arms, like I did, 1, 2, you're just going to write the letter. 1, 2. And then you're going to circle your pairs. Okay? So I'm going to circle my pairs, and I'm going to cross out what I used. Cool. And just like with the numbers, the pairs will go on the outside. Okay. So our answer is going to be 5x square root 6. Alright. Let's try another one. Let's try 13, because 13 has a different tiny number. Okay? Alrighty. So, start by finding your factors of 32. So 32, we've been using 16 and 2, and then I'm just going to use 4 and 4, okay, because I know 4 times 4, and that way I can just go ahead and circle my pair. Alrighty, and so then I'm going to, oops, so we use that, box that. Alright, so one number from each pair goes on the outside, leave it a little space, 2 is going to go on the inside. Alright, so now same thing. There's a 3 with our x, so I need to draw 3 arms. 1, 2, 3. And then x. 1, 2, 3 x's. And like always, I'm going to circle my pairs, cross that out because we used it. Alright, so now one of my pairs is going to go on the outside, and whatever is left over goes on the inside. Alright, let's try one more of these. Okay, we'll do 50x squared. So for 50x squared, find your pairs. Find your factors of 50, which are 2 and 25. 25, 5, and 5. They look pairs. Okay, so 5 goes on the outside, leave a space. Square root 2.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Coach Hooper is not.
Alright, sorry about that. Obviously, I am doing this in my classroom. Okay, so now we need to find our factors of x squared. So because there's a tiny 2, we're going to put 2 arms and an x in both. And then we used the x's. Circle your pairs. And since I don't have any left, that's our answer. Alrighty. So now let's move down to 17. We'll do 17 and 19, and then I think, oh, okay. Actually, let's just do 19 because we have more on the back. Okay, so 19, find your factors of 36. Okay. And I know that my factors of 36 are actually 6 and 6, so that's kind of nice, because now we just have a pair of 6's, and we used up our 36. So, one of my pairs goes on the outside, times the number that's already on the outside, leave a space, square root. Now, because we used all of our numbers to go on the outside, we are not going to have a number that goes on the inside. So maybe our letter will. We'll see. All right. So next we have P to the 4th. So we're going to draw 4 arms. And P, 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 P. I'm going to circle our pairs. 1, 2. Oh, okay, so I have 2 pairs. So that means that I'm going to write a P. And however many pairs you have, that's going to be your new tiny number. All right? And if you notice, we used everything. So when we simplify, this is just going to go away. All right? So 6 times -4 is going to give us -24 p squared. And that's going to be our answer. And that can sometimes happen. Alrighty. So now we're ready to move to the back. Let me box this real quick. Okay, to the back. So on the back, it seems a little bit scary because now we have 2 letters, but we're just going to do the exact same thing, okay? Start by finding your factors of your number. Well, I know that 16 is just going to be 4 and 4, so there's my pair right there. Cross that out, and we can put a 4 down here. And I'm going to leave a space. Actually, I should probably leave a bigger space. And because we used up all of our numbers, nothing goes inside. Alright, next. Okay, so because you get a little bit squished, I would just kind of list your U's off to the side, okay? Alright, so we have U to the 4th. So 1, 2, 3, 4. U, 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 U. And we're going to circle our pairs. So I got the U to the 4th from over here. I just moved it over here for more space. Circling our pairs. So we use the U to the 4th. Okay. And I have 2 pairs of U's. So that means that it's going to be U squared. And I used everything. So once again, nothing goes inside. And then V to the 4th. Again, I'm just going to put it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we used V to the 4th. Circle your pairs. Oh, and once again, we circled all of our pairs. And so now we have nothing left over. And so I have 2 pairs of V's, which means V squared. So when we simplify it, our answer is just going to be 4U squared V squared. That's kind of nice. Alright. Well, those are all nice and dandy. Let's do 23. Okay, 23 is going to leave us stuff inside our radical. Alrighty. So, factors of 54. I believe are 9 and 6. Or at least I'm going to say they are. Alright. And then 2 and 3 and 3 and 3. Alright. So now we get to circle our pairs, cross out what we used. So we used the 9, the 6, the 54. Pairs of 3. So I'm going to have 3 on the outside, space, and then 2 times 3, because that is what is left over. Doing okay so far? Alright, you should be getting a little bit faster doing the tree method. Alright, and then our x's. So we have x cubed, so we have 3 x's. And so we have 1 pair of x's. So that's going to go right there. And we have 1 left over. So that's going to go right there. Alrighty. Inside our radical, excuse me. And then we have y cubed. 1, 2, 3. So y, y, y. Circle your pairs. So I'm going to have, whoops. And we use the y cubed. Oh, we also use the x cubed. Have 1 left over. So our pair of y's, it's going to go on the outside. And we have 1 left over. Alright, so then when we simplify this, it's going to be, I'm going to write it right here, 3xy square root of 2 times 3, which is 6xy. Wow, that's a lot. But that's okay. We did it. Alright. Now, let's do 26 and then we'll be done. Alrighty? So, for 26, we have 200x squared y to the 4th times z. Alright, let's do it. So, factors of 200. Well, I'm going to use my divide by 10 method again, because if I get rid of one of our zeros, we're left with 20. So I'm going to have 10 and 20, and then 5 and 2, and then 5 and 4, and 2 and 2. Okay, just finding your factors of all your numbers. Alright, cross out everything that has arms coming from it. And then circle your pairs. So I kind of did it this way to show you that, you know, you don't always have to circle your pairs perfectly like that. Because my 5s are definitely not perfect. They're all the way over there. And then I'm going to also circle this pair of 2s to show you that you can do that. And then I'm going to box that too. Alright, so now, and I'm going to put this off to the side. So now I have one pair of 5s. So I have 1 5. Times one pair of 2s, leave some space, and a 2 goes on the inside. Okay? So now I'm going to do my x squared, which gives me 2 x's. So cross out what you used, and circle your pairs. I have one pair of x's, so that's going to go on the outside. And now y to the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Circle, or cross out what we used. We used y to the 4th. Circle your pair. So I have 2 pairs of y's. So that means that 2 is going to be my new tiny number. And then I have 1 z. So that's not helpful. So that's just going to stay right on inside. Yeah, my z's have the line through them, so you know that they're not the 2's. Alright, so 5 times 2 will give me 10 xy squared, square root 2 times z. And that's our answer. And we're done. Congrats, guys. Alright, let's see if you guys can do the rest of them. Good luck.